In 2019, a 54-year-old man was urgently referred to a nephrologist because his creatinine levels were skyrocketing. He had never experienced kidney issues before, but after being examined by the kidney specialist, the cause of his problem shocked everyone. DW was a 54-year-old man who had just returned to Canada after a long trip to a tropical island, where he had received some of the worst advice anyone could possibly get. He was later referred to a nephrologist with bad news: his kidneys were rapidly failing. His GFR was so low that he was at risk of needing emergency dialysis, and doctors didn't know what to do. There was no prior medical condition that could explain such high creatinine levels, and he wasn't taking any medications known to harm the kidneys. So what could have happened to him? DW had followed the terrible advice of a doctor he met abroad. He had consumed excessive amounts of vitamin D, which ended up destroying his kidneys. In today's video, we will explore the 7 worst pieces of advice given by doctors and experts, both online and in real life, to understand the dangers of misinformation. The 7 worst pieces of advice you could receive. Misinformation is harmful to everyone, but for people with kidney issues, it can be especially dangerous. Following incorrect advice on diet, vitamins, and lifestyle choices can put you in real danger. The truth is, believing even one of the myths we'll discuss today could put your kidney health at serious risk. Let's take a look at some of the worst advice so we can avoid it, starting with a truly terrible recommendation from famous actress and entrepreneur Gwyneth Paltrow. Number 7. Everything natural is good for you. Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness company became famous on the internet when she started selling candles that supposedly smelled like her vagina. While I don't think a candle that smells like Gwyneth would harm you, other than costing you $75, she has been criticized for some of her other health products because they weren't as safe as she claimed. In response to the criticism, she said, "I don't think anything natural can be bad for you. This advice is so terrible that I don't even know where to start. I mean, sunlight can harm you if you get too much of it, and it's completely natural. Plenty of poisonous plants can easily harm you, and picking the wrong mushroom to eat can land you in the hospital. A snake bite can end your life." The fact that someone could say that everything natural is good for you just baffles me. This advice only ranks at number 7 on today's list because, while it's incredibly bad, no one in their right mind actually believes that everything natural is automatically good for you. What about vitamins? Some doctors will tell you that the more vitamins you take, the healthier you'll be. Some even claim that you need to take 10,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily, or else you'll never be healthy. That brings us to number 6 on today's list. My recommendation for the average person is to take at least 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily. But let's see what happens to your kidneys if you actually take at least 10,000 IU of vitamin D3 every day. Remember the case study we discussed at the beginning of the video? A nephrologist was trying to figure out why DW, a 54-year-old man with no history of kidney disease, suddenly needed to start dialysis. The cause of DW's problem was that he had followed terrible advice from an expert who told him to take 8 drops of vitamin D daily. For 2.5 years, DW took between 8,000 and 12,000 IU of vitamin D daily, and that alone was enough to put him at risk of emergency dialysis. Vitamin D toxicity, also known as hypervitaminosis D, is a rare but potentially serious condition that occurs when you have excessive amounts of vitamin D in your body. It's usually caused by high doses of vitamin D supplements, not by diet or sun exposure. Your body regulates how much vitamin D it produces from sunlight, but it can't control how much vitamin D you take in from supplements. The main consequence of vitamin D toxicity is the buildup of calcium in your blood, hypercalcemia, which is bad for both your heart and kidneys. Calcium can deposit in soft tissues, leaving behind tiny stone-like formations. These deposits, or calcifications, never go away. Calcifications in your joints can cause severe pain, calcifications in your lungs can lead to breathing difficulties, and calcifications in your kidneys can result in kidney stones. If calcium builds up in your heart, it can lead to a heart attack. Now, one important thing to note about vitamin D is that it's a fat-soluble vitamin, meaning that the effects of toxicity can last for months even after you stop taking it. At the end of the video, we'll see what happened to DW after he was advised to stop supplementing with vitamin D. Was it too late for his kidneys? The reality is that many people with kidney disease have low vitamin D levels. However, if supplementing with the right dosage, about 2000 IU per day along with vitamin K2 and magnesium, doesn't help, you should still avoid high-dose vitamin supplements. There are already activated forms of vitamin D3 that your doctor can prescribe, which are much safer and more effective. Unfortunately, when asked about vitamins, some doctors will tell you that you don't need to take any supplements at all if you follow a balanced diet. Number 5. You must always avoid potassium with chronic kidney disease, CKD. Alright, this is quite a new update, so you may have heard from your doctor that you need to avoid potassium-rich foods. However, this is actually outdated information. Avoiding potassium-rich foods was once considered essential for people with CKD, but today, guidelines suggest that it's not really that important. I know it's hard to believe that potassium-rich foods are now considered safe when most CKD patients have avoided bananas, potatoes, tomatoes, and many other foods for decades. But take a look at the new CKD guidelines, the rulebook your doctor follows when prescribing anything. We now know that high potassium levels are usually not caused by diet. Medications and CKD complications are often the main culprits. In fact, eating potatoes and bananas may actually help. I'll explain this further in my video, so be sure to watch if you missed it. Number 3. You should give up gluten. This is advice we've all heard at least once, or maybe 10 times. It seems like every day, a famous athlete or Hollywood celebrity announces that they've cut gluten out of their diet. Gluten-free diets have never been more popular, and many people are told to avoid gluten even when they don't need to. What is gluten, and what are its health risks? Gluten is a natural protein found in grains such as wheat, barley, rye, and oats. It's true that if you've been diagnosed with gluten intolerance or celiac disease, you should avoid it. However, according to a recent survey, about 1/3 of Americans are trying to avoid gluten. Many people self-diagnose as having celiac disease and start feeling symptoms whenever they eat donuts, cookies, pizza, cakes, bread, and pasta. But what they don't know is that celiac disease only affects 1 in 133 Americans, not 1 in 3. So, is gluten really the enemy, or is this just another dangerous diet trend? According to a study published in the Journal of Internal Medicine, people with celiac disease may experience symptoms when eating gluten-containing foods simply because they believe those foods will make them sick. This is known as the nocebo effect, meaning that a large portion of the population feels ill from gluten simply because they've been brainwashed by the media. Number 2, fruits are bad for your kidneys. What's even worse is that some of the nutrition advice given to people with diabetes is particularly harmful. Some YouTube users keep telling me in the comments that fruits are bad for your kidneys. They explain that most kidney disease patients are diabetic, so eating fruit, which is bad for diabetes, is also bad for the kidneys. This has happened more than once. People write about it in the comments almost every time I post a recipe here on YouTube. They really want me to stop making healthy recipes with fruit, and that's just wrong. There are so many things wrong with this statement that I don't even know where to start. Most kidney disease patients are not diabetic. It is true that diabetes is the leading cause of kidney disease worldwide, but it only accounts for about 1 in 3 cases of CKD. Moreover, it's a myth that all fruits should be avoided by people with diabetes. No fruit is completely off limits in a diabetes-friendly diet. Studies show that eating more whole fruits may actually be associated with improved insulin levels and better blood sugar control. So please, stop telling me to stop talking about fruit here. Choosing lower sugar fruits, such as berries, apples, and grapefruit, can be helpful, but you can enjoy any fruit as long as you follow reasonable portion sizes and, of course, avoid anything with added sugar. That's good advice even for people who don't have diabetes. The outcome of DW. Now, it's time to see the outcome of DW, the 54-year-old man who followed bad advice and took excessive amounts of vitamin D3. As we might expect, even after stopping the vitamin D, his levels continued to worsen. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so his body kept releasing too much of it even without an external source. His serum calcium levels and GFR both continued to decline to the point that his doctor had to prescribe steroids. However, DW refused them because he was afraid of gaining too much weight. The doctor had a second option, though, a drug that is used to treat malaria, among other conditions. Could this therapy save DW's kidneys? At the next checkup, his condition had improved. However, vitamin D toxicity is not something that can be treated easily. It took a year for DW's serum calcium levels and active vitamin D levels to return to normal. This left his kidneys permanently damaged. He is now in stage 3B kidney disease, which is not good, but at least he was able to avoid dialysis. I recommend that the average person take at least 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 per day. Now, I know that learning about all the bad advice you can receive can be overwhelming. We've seen that vitamin D can be bad for you, but it's also something you need, along with potassium, not to mention gluten and fruit in general. Add all that to the advice you often hear about kidney diets, and I understand why some new patients might feel confused. These are topics I frequently cover here, so if you want to learn more, my advice is to stay tuned, subscribe, and turn on notifications to receive all updates. Number 1. You need to follow a keto diet if you have diabetes. While the popularity of this diet is finally declining, many diabetes patients are still being told to buy books about it. Hey, I know you have diabetes. I watched a video on YouTube where this doctor said there's a diet that cures diabetes. This is the worst advice for today. You need to follow a keto diet if you have diabetes. This is extremely bad for people with kidney disease, and even for those who don't have kidney disease. You see, the keto diet is something that should only be used short-term and under medical supervision. It has some benefits, but its advocates have never been able to prove that it's better than a normal diet with the same calorie intake. We know that the keto diet is much riskier than a normal diet, even though it doesn't necessarily provide more benefits. It is not a diet for everyone, and it can seriously damage your kidneys. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.